Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with part 6 of my top 100 side 1 track 1 ranking series, and the batch that I'm looking at today in the top 100 is number 50 up to number 41. So for people who may have just landed on me in isolation, maybe not sure what I'm up to, what I've been talking about, what I'm doing here, right now, I will put links to parts 1 to 5 of my series in this video in the description box, so you can take a look at those videos if you wish to do a little bit of catching up, if you need to see what I've been doing over the past several months or so at the time of recording. And yeah, it's been quite the journey. So we're getting into the higher echelons of the chart now, getting there from 50 up to 41. So it's been very enjoyable, and I've also been really grateful to people who've been playing along and sharing their own top hundreds with me. They've been putting their batches in conjunction with my own, so we're all kind of at the same point. I don't think anybody's rushed ahead as yet and posted the entire 100. So it's been lovely to see the reveals as and when my videos have been recorded and uploaded. So without any further ado, then let's get into what we're looking at today. So a bit of a heads up, a little bit of a spoiler. It's quite a rocking batch here, 50 to 41, and there's a little bit of sort of beautiful 80s synth pop coming in right at the end at number 41. That one doesn't rock too much at all, but it's just a fantastic song. But there is a lot of guitar heavy stuff here today, stuff that I really enjoy cranking up the volume to. Some big heavy lyrics in here in places as well. Quite thought provoking stuff. So yeah, we'll see how we get on here in terms of time and when I clock in and all that kind of thing. And again, thanks in advance for everybody who tunes in to me, takes the time to do it. Posting their favourites as well. Really excited to see what a lot of my I should say more dedicated viewers what they've got for their 50 to 41, because some of those, well, all of those lists have been absolutely outstanding, exceptional quality. Just from my own musical taste and perspective, and have been discovering a lot of great tracks there as well through other people, and acquainting myself with old favourites as well. Okay, then, so kicking us off then at number 50, it's my all-time favourite artist, solo artist. The guy could do it all. People who've tuned into me now for a while and will know exactly who I'm talking about. So, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. So, I am talking about Let's Go Crazy, which is the album opener to the absolutely massive, the commercial behemoth that was Purple Rain, and of course the artist there, the purple one. It is, of course, Prince Rogers Nelson here, Prince and the Revolution, released in 1984. So this, for me, was Prince at the top of the mountain, so to speak, certainly in terms of his commercial appeal. I do think he went on to release his masterpiece, in my opinion, a few years later. But this is a truly brilliant album, and Let's Go Crazy is an absolute stormer of an opener. So, as is customary here on the Vinyl Sanctuary when I'm doing these series, I'll just show off the front and back covers and anything of interest that might be inside the album as well. So there you go. There's the front and back of Purple Rain. This is still there from the movie. I've got Apollonia there in the background. There's Prince, of course, on the motorcycle, looking very cool. No doubt his most iconic, shall we say, look at that time. I think when most people think of Prince, this is the era in which I think most people call into mind. So here we go. Let's see what we've got inside here. Nice big thick repress, this one that I've got. Not an original from 84, but it's a nice repressing. Yeah, I've got the lyrics and everything in here as well. So just show you that for interest before we get into why I've chosen Let's Go Crazy. There you go. Smart work there. Really difficult to read the text on this one. I think I've mentioned this before when I've shown this album off on a previous video at the time of recording. You can see there that it's really difficult to read that, the choice of font, and also the purple against the sort of the dark background. But that's just nitpicking. It's easy enough to read if you kind of pay close attention and focus on it. But you do have to, well, I certainly have to strain my eyes a little bit to be able to read all of that with my eyesight being as it is. So it's just a minor gripe. But apart from that, I mean, yeah, it's a brilliant album, this one. Very, very enjoyable. Classic of the 1980s. So we'll put all that away. I'll leave the crinkly wrapper off until we're actually done talking about it. So I better get started, hadn't I? Otherwise, we'll already be clocking in with a very long video, even by my standards. So yeah, so let's go crazy. As I said, I did do the little dearly beloved intro there for you all before, and it's just a really uplifting. I think it's quite a joyous track, which is probably why I enjoy it so much as an opener. There's just some great synth work in there. And there's a little bit, well, a big bit of guitar heroics right towards the end, the actual climax of the song. Prince just absolutely, tears through, shreds through this brilliant guitar outro, showing off his impressive guitar chops and virtuosity. Almost a bit sort of Hendrix-esque in terms of the guitar tone and the way in which he just totally lets fly on the fretboard. I always enjoy listening to that outro, just sort of indulging himself there a little bit. Very flashy, a great statement of intent for the song and for the record. Very intriguing lyrics in Let's Go Crazy as well. Singing about purple bananas and there's sort of observations in there that, should we say, are a more of an intimate nature as well. As you would expect with Prince, there's a lot more of that to come on the album as a whole. But as people know who've been watching me, I'm only focusing on opening tracks in the series. I don't want to be getting tempted into doing sort of unofficial album reviews and looking at tracks in their entirety and the albums as a kind of an overall statement. So yeah, it's a great opening track. Let's Go Crazy. I like the energy of it. It sounds great, as you'd expect. It's a Prince production. His vocals on it are superb. He really mixes up the voice on there. You get a lot of different tones of Prince. There's a bit of the sort of the breathless Prince in there. There's a little bit of shrieking. You get some of the deeper sort of not sort of the crooner slow jam Prince, but you do certainly get a good variety of the voice in flow, and just the way in which he could use his voice as an instrument in its own right. And there's a good few other singers here in this top 10 section, of my batch, where the vocalists have got that ability to really mix it up and make the songs very compelling. So yeah, a great way to get us started off there today at number 50. Let's Go Crazy by Prince, off the Mighty Purple Rain album from 1984. Okay, so let's get that put away. Okay, so we've just moved on there from my favourite artist of all time. For me, he's the full package, the real deal. Absolutely love Prince to bits. But now we're moving on to a band who were massive for me, particularly when I was growing up, and they happen to feature amongst their ranks my all-time favourite singer. So this chap is somebody who I rank even above Prince. This guy for me is the ultimate rock singer. There's a few soul singers I can think of who, in my own opinion, would be giving him a run for his money and might even be tied with him for my favourite singer of all time. But when it comes to rock music, this person here now that we're going to be talking about, and the band that he fronted, he's the one for me. And the band that I always wished that I had the chance to watch live and sadly didn't get the chance to do so. So coming up next then, the next opening track I've got, it is Brighton Rock, and it is by the absolutely majestic Queen. And the album is Sheer Heart Attack from 1974. So there we can see Queen there in all their glory and brilliance. And of course that singer I was talking about is the one, the only, Mr. Freddie Mercury. Amazing, amazing vocalist, could do it all, could sing any style. Just an absolutely unbelievable set of pipes on him, and just the tone of his voice, the way that he could use it to convey various emotions. He could rock it up when he wanted to. He could swing. he could sing sweetly and tenderly as well. He could swing, yeah. So he could do the lot. He was just an absolutely amazing talent, brilliant musician as well, and backed by this incredible trio of musicians and songwriters as well. Brian May, of course, Rod Taylor on the drums, and John Deacon on the bass. So all consummate songwriters, just an absolutely exceptional band. What more can you say about Queen? And this is a great album, Sheer Heart Attack. It's my favourite Queen album. It is an album that I do feel that rocks really consistently, very hard at times. It's quite pounding, powerful, almost sort of treads into areas of very like hard rock and heavy metal as well. And Brighton Rock is just a tune where you've got Freddie taking on like a dual role. He's actually singing the parts of two different people. So I'll get into that a little bit more now when I take the lyrics out here to show. So that's the inner sleeve here for my copy of Sheer Heart Attack. You can see the iconic Queen crest there as well, which is made up of the astrological signs of each band member. And there's the lyrics there. So yeah, Brighton Rock, very quintessentially sort of British English sounding track in my opinion, with its whole sort of imagery of the seaside. Brighton itself is an iconic place here in Great Britain. When you think of the sea and sunshine, people often think of Brighton. And we've got this sort of dialogue, this sort of story going on between two characters by the name of Jimmy and Jenny. Just had to remind myself there of the name, so I'm not getting it wrong in the moment talking on camera. And what I always found really interesting is when, because Freddie sings as both characters, when he's singing as Jenny, he actually sounds, to me anyway, very similar to Russell Mael from Sparks when he's using that falsetto range that Freddie, he could do it effortlessly. He really does sound like Russell Mael on there, and there is a bit of a Sparks sort of a bit of Sparks in the track, but it's a lot heavier than what Sparks would typically do. And then when he's singing as Jimmy, he's sounding more his sort of usual range, his register really. So this is a great showcase for all the band. Everybody's on fire in terms of the playing and their ability. But Brian May in particular, there is just this unbelievable guitar part, like passage in it, like an extended guitar jam, almost. Well, not really a jam. It's very controlled. Jam wouldn't be the right word to use, but it's a showcase for Brian and his immense talent. And he is one of my absolute favourite ever guitar players, without any shadow of a doubt. There's a lot of my favourite guitar players actually coming up here today, to varying degrees. But Brian May and the next song I'm going to be talking about are right up there in the top five, I would say. So yeah, great work on here by Brian. Very heavy, like I say, almost quite metallic in places. But the bass work by Deacon, the drumming of Roger Taylor, and of course, the vocal performance of Freddie throughout is just absolutely outstanding. And Brighton Rock is just such a powerful way to kick off an excellent album. So if you're not familiar with the song Brighton Rock, if you've maybe not heard it for a long time, please do check it out. It's always the case with these picks. I would love people to check out everything, to be honest, that I showed today, because these are songs that really mean so much to me. There's a reason why these opening tracks have made my top 100 when I had so many in my collection to choose from. So yeah, Brighton Rock, if you just want something to really get your blood pumping, something to get you to seize the day, then please do give that one a listen. Great stuff. Okay, so staying in a similar kind of vein then to Brighton Rock, we're certainly still in the hard rock metal territory here. I would say proto metal, if you will. I suppose you could call it that to some degree, depending on how chronology works with when metal started. I'm not fully going to kind of nail my colours to the mast with that one. It's not a genre that I claim to have a particularly deep knowledge of, but I would say this is the earlier years of the genre, certainly an influence on it. Excuse me. So yeah, this is just an absolutely fantastic song as well, as they all are. You'll be hearing me say the word absolutely a lot today, I'm sure. So the reason why I love this one so much is, again, it's just a wonderful showcase for the guitarist in the band. There's just some really pounding, hammering riffs going on, and another astonishing vocal performance. Very different to Freddie's. This one is a lot grittier, a lot harder, but just absolutely full on, and one that you really do need to turn up to 11 when you're giving it a listen, or turn it up as high as it can go. So the next song I'm showing here today, the opening track is Speed King. The album is Deep Purple in Rock, and the band, of course, is Deep Purple. So Speed King, following on from Brighton Rock. It was difficult between them two. Well, I mean, the whole ranking, the 100 was difficult, but those two were kind of flip flopping a little bit. But then I ended up putting Speed King a little bit higher than Brighton Rock, just because it's just the sheer energy and it's just the force of nature. This track, it really is. So here's the front cover. Picked this up for a couple of euros in Germany, and then there's the back cover as well. So such an iconic design for the sleeve that they deemed it necessary to use it twice. Obviously got the whole Mount Rushmore concept going on here. So we've got Ian Gillan here on voice. What a performance on Speed King, my word. The utterly amazing Ritchie Blackmore. Love this guy so much. Amazing guitarist, like top 3 for me. Love him. Amazing guitar player. Just love how he approaches the instrument. For me, it's like he just doesn't give a shit how he plays it, but he plays it in a way that is so controlled. It's almost like there's like there's a reckless abandon to it, but it's also really controlled at the same time. It's quite unbelievable how he sort of treads this line of sounding completely unhinged but really disciplined as well. He's not sloppy, absolutely far from that. Just a great player, and quite unpredictable. Never quite know what he's going to do next. So that's why I love Ritchie so much. Got the amazing John Lord here on organ, and then we've got this outstanding rhythm section here with Roger Glover on the bass guitar and Ian Pace on the drums there as well. So that's the personnel covered for Deep Purple. It's a gatefold, this one, so I will be showing you the inside for Deep Purple in Rock. Hopefully we can get all that in. Some great photographs there of the band. Not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but the album was released in 1970. Just a great album. Very aggressive, but there's like these beautiful sort of interludes within songs as well. Certainly a little bit later on, but again, want to keep just to the opening track of Speed King. So it actually starts off quite gentle. It's quite misleading. Yeah, there's nothing in there to show. It's on the Harvest label. There we go. It's just the label there. So yeah, it starts off relatively gentle, but that doesn't last very long, and then we get this brilliant sort of cacophony of guitar coming in. It just sounds all over the shop. Again, that's when I mentioned that kind of this sort of reckless energy to the way he plays, but also really refined, like precision, razor sharp focus as well, the way Ritchie plays. But then when the voice comes in, you've got Gillan just sounding like an absolute. He sounds like something from another world, to be honest. Almost like a Viking or something. The way he screams and hollers and singing about Tutti Frutti and all kinds, and it's just this absolute like really. It really just overwhelms you in like the best possible way. If you want to just bang your head, do a little bit of head banging and just get that music cranked up and just lose yourself for the time that the song's on. Then Speed King has that effect on me. Some of the guitar riffs in it are just so brutal and loud and just in your face, and I love the power of it. So that for me is the reason why it had to be in the top 100, and yeah, then it was a case of where it was going to go. So yeah, I mean, it's really just laying down a marker for how the rest of the album pans out. But yeah, Speed King, just give it a listen. Listen to that glorious voice of Gillan, how the band are backing him up. Some lovely work on there as well in passages by John Lord, but throughout that rhythm section as well. Glover is such an incredible bass player, very underrated in my opinion. Pace is just utterly rock solid, and then you've got Ritchie doing his thing. So yeah, brilliant album, but a really great opening track, that one, Speed King. Okay, so with this next pick, then we're moving into the 1990s now. So I think this was 1993. Pretty sure it was 93. It is the first of 2 songs which are in here that were produced by the same person. So that might be a little bit of a clue for people in terms of when I show it off. You might be thinking, oh, what other one did he produce then? There was an opening track that I might have picked. So yeah, the reason I love this one again, it's more and more of the same. It's just absolutely rocking. The drumming on this in particular always amazes me because the drummer in this group is one of my favourites of all time. Another band that I would love to watch live. I've still not had the chance or just not been able to watch them. I've got many friends who've watched them live who love them to bits, but maybe one day I will get the chance to watch them. So the song coming up now, got a little bit of a theme coming here. So we've had Brighton Rock, we've had Speed King on an album called Deep Purple in Rock, and now we've got Cherub Rock. So this is Cherub Rock, and the band is Smashing Pumpkins, coming out of Chicago, and the album is Siamese Dream. So yeah, really, really famous album cover from the 1990s, from the grunge, alternative guitar, indie movement. So this, as you can see, is a repress. This is not the original cover as it was rendered, and this is a very, very heavy, very densely packaged reissue, this one, so there might be quite a bit to show for anybody who's interested in seeing it if they've not seen it. So it did cost me a few quid, this one, at the time, but I was really keen to get it. I'd read some excellent reviews of how the repress sounded. This is more just audio information. This isn't about the actual track itself. I'll get into that in a moment. But for anyone who's interested in picking up this copy of Siamese Dream, sound wise, I think it sounds incredible, and there's no better showcase for how well this repress sounds than sticking on that opening track, Cherub Rock, because it is iconic. It's got that this sort of very kind of militaristic drum intro by Jimmy Chamberlin. That's the drummer I was talking about, who I love so much, which I believe is indebted to a song by Rush. Can't think of the song off the top of my head. I'm not really overly familiar with Rush. I've got to be very honest with you. They're not a group that I've explored or know anything or much about. That might surprise maybe people. People could be watching now in horror thinking, why on earth are you not getting into Rush? Maybe if people want to recommend some Rush stuff to me, then please do. There is a bit of a bit of a connection there, because I do believe that Cherub Rock does take some influence from Rush. So before I get into the song, let's just show off the actual packaging. So we've got that cover there. You can see there how it's been rendered. Beautifully done there. Lovely colours with the orange and the purple. Then the back here actually is just on this glossy paper there like that. That just kind of, you kind of wrap that around the back. So there's your track listing there. And you can see Cherub Rock there at the top. Okay, and then behind that, we've got that there on the back, that photograph there. And yeah, it's really thick. It's been pressed over two LPs, this one as well, 2 records, this one. So let's take it out there. So yeah, there's my side 1 and 2. And then we've got I've only played this a couple of times since owning it. There we go. So that's the next part of it, the record. Show that off in a moment as well. Got that there to show. So then you've got the gatefold. It's absolutely beautifully packaged, I have to say, really beautifully packaged. So I'll show you those in a second there. So let's do the gatefold here. I know I'll be taking a bit of time on this one, but it's worth it to do it, because it's probably one of the nicest packaged records in my collection, and to have bought it brand new as well. I often buy things second hand, pick up a lot in record stores and things second hand, but this one I did want to buy a fresh new copy of it, and I'm really glad that I did. So that's the gatefold there. Hopefully you can see all of that okay. Sorry if it's kind of bobbing and weaving around a bit, but there's quite a lot to get in there. And then aside from that, then you get the actual. So these are already packaged in plain sleeves, the actual records, but then you get these as well, that you can place them in if you wish to with the lyrics on. I prefer just to keep them in just the white ones there, and just to keep these nice and safe, and just keep the records out of them. They'll probably, no doubt, be better preserved for that. And that's how they came in the packaging as well. So, and then you get the lyrics there on for the other half of the album as well. So there you go. Might be quite tricky again for people to read there with the grey on black. Okay, so let's pop all this together, and then I'll talk just briefly about Cherub Rock, and then we'll move on to the next pick. Okay, so let's try and do this as neatly and tidily as I can, and as quickly as I can, because I've pulled everything out. I'm doing it on camera here. We'll go. Okay. And because I'm not very good at doing one thing and talking at the same time, I'm going to give all my time and attention to just making sure that I get this all done properly. Okay, so that one goes in there. There we go. It's gone in there nice and easy, and then that pops into that. Just like putting a puzzle together. This one a little bit just needs to go in there. Try and do that nice and gently. There we go. And then we just need to pop that record back in, then put the back on, and then put it back into the plastic sleeve to keep it all together. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I need to play this one a couple more times really. I've got to be in the mood for it. It's a big album. It's a dense album, but it's an immensely rewarding and a very enjoyable album when I'm in the mood for it. And most albums for me are like that. A lot of my favourite albums are the ones that I might not play them very often, but when I'm in the mood for them, they just land in a way with me that is really difficult to describe, other than to say very, very satisfying and very rewarding. So I'm going to take care of that bit in a little while. That bit, I'll leave that there for now. But yeah, Siamese Dream. So Cherub Rock. So yeah, I've already mentioned that that Rush influence, but it's the guitars on this for me. They're just so beautifully produced and recorded. There's like layers and layers of guitar. You can just hear all these little different little bits of components coming into it. The guitars that have been laid there by the band leader Billy Corgan. Not sure if how much of the guitars on there were laid down by James Iha, who's the other guitarist in the group, or whether Cherub Rock is a track where maybe Billy took care of all of the guitar parts. Not 100% sure about that, but it's certainly a great showcase as well for the producer Butch Vig, who I mentioned at the start of the commentary. So there is another Butch Vig production song job coming up in this batch here, so you'll have to get your thinking caps on for that. So yeah, great production, guitar work on it is fantastic. Love the tone of the guitars of the Smashing Pumpkins, always have done. Got a really kind of treacly, sort of syrupy, sticky kind of vibe to them, is like the best way to describe it. People might be thinking, what on earth do you mean by that? But what I mean by that is there's just this really satisfying, warm tone to the playing, but it's really heavy as well. It rocks it. It's got like a bit of a fuzz to it, and the way that those guitars just swell in on the intro after the little drum part by Jimmy Chamberlin is just utterly rewarding when it comes in. Great vocal performance on it as well by Billy Corgan. There's a lot of people who I know, a lot of my friends actually, who probably be tuning in, who I know are not fans of Smashing Pumpkins, but I've got many friends who are fans, so it's they're quite a divisive band within my group of friends. But for us who love the Pumpkins, we really love them, and the ones who aren't so keen are really not that keen. But I do think it's one of Billy's best vocal performances on Cherub Rock. The lyrics are very memorable as well, singing about, who wants the honey, etc. There's some great lines in there, and it really did become a massive anthem of its time in the the sort of the mid 1990s. It was a very important song for the group, and it's become one of their classics. It's a staple track for the Pumpkins, one that a lot of people have got a lot of love and affection for. So I'm delighted to have it listed here in my top 100, and for it to be placed well above the top 50 mark as well. Okay, so all sorted with that one. So let's see how many I've got left here to show. Got one, two, three, four, five. I've got 6 records left to show here of the 10 today. So what I will say at this point, just because I know I've probably gone a bit longer there with a couple of those because there was quite a bit to show. Just thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you've enjoyed what I've shown in the batch today for part 6 of my top 100 side 1 track ones. Okay, so with that in mind, we shall carry on. So this next song then, very, very interesting concept for a song, I have to say, rather unique. I don't think I've heard another song with the same or a similar storyline to it. I think I'm on pretty safe ground with making that declaration. So yeah, quite coincidentally, I didn't realise that. So Smashing Pumpkins there just shown they were on the Hut label. This band here are on Hut as well, so we're label mates at one time or another with the Pumpkins. But this is a UK group now, as opposed to being a US group there with the Smashing Pumpkins. So the plot of the song, before I actually reveal what it is it is the comedian Lenny Bruce, the very famous, very controversial comedian Lenny Bruce. I believe I'm trying to remember it now because it's not difficult to remember, but the idea is that it's the spirit of Lenny Bruce who has woken up inside the body of the early 20th century matinee idol, the film idol Rudolph Valentino. He's actually woken up the spirit of Lenny Bruce inside Rudolph Valentino's body, but it happens to be on the day of Rudolph Valentino's funeral. So this rather confused spirit of Lenny Bruce is wondering what's going on, all these mourners who've assembled, etc. And he thinks that they're, I believe, or thinks that they're, there for him or mourning for him or whatever he thinks is going on, when in actual fact, they're there to pay the respects to Rudolph Valentino. So that's the plot of the song. So I'm sure if anybody knows this song already, then they're going to know straight away what I'm talking about. But for other people, I hope it's whetted your appetite to think, well, what could this song possibly be? So the title is Lenny Valentino. So obviously we've got that, that meshing there of Lenny Bruce and Rudolph Valentino. That's the name of the song. The album is called Now I'm a Cowboy, and the band is the Auteurs. So this came out in 1994. The Auteurs were a group that were, should we say, very reluctantly and pretty much very dismissive of this of the whole Britpop movement. That the Auteurs, along with Suede at the very beginning, were seen as being almost the not the godfathers of the genre, but maybe the ones who were there right at the very beginning. But the Auteurs wanted nothing to do with it. Luke Haines, the leader of the band, has been very, very clear about that. He has written an exceptional book called Bad Vibes, which I would certainly recommend. Great book that by Luke Haines. Proves to be as brilliant an author and storyteller as he is a musician and songwriter. But yeah, I've given you the plot line of Lenny Valentino, so there's only really, I suppose, all that's left to talk about is the musical component of the track. So you've got that very bizarre plot. So this is an original pressing of the record of the album, which I'm really happy to have because it's getting on a bit. This album now, it's just over 30 years old now. This one, and my copy does have the free limited edition one-sided 7-inch single with it as well. I don't think all pressings of it had that, but mine does have it, so I'll just show that for anyone who might be interested to see it. I've got a postcard there as well. There we go. You can see that there. Light might not be helping me today. There we go. And there's the 7-inch there. Just the one-sided there, that's it. Acoustic version of Modern History. So that's that. Okay, we'll get back to that front cover in a moment. And then we've got, of course, the inner sleeve with the lyrics printed on. Yeah, great lyrics. I mean, anybody who's maybe not familiar with the authors, if you're into your very sardonic, witty, again, kind of quintessentially English, British style lyrics, quite kinksy in places, very observant, social commentary. Again, like almost quite absurdist sort of concepts as well going on with something like Lenny Valentino. Luke Haynes is not afraid to take rather unusual and quite strange concepts and make albums out of them in some cases, or just songs in isolation. But he's a tremendous songwriter. I've loved the man's work for many years now. But yeah, Lenny Valentino. When you read the lyrics, knowing what I've just given you regarding the plot, then some more of it makes sense. But the music itself, clocks in at 2 minutes, very short and sweet. It does pound along in like a rocking sense. It's got some really nice guitar parts on it. Nowhere near as heavy as some of the stuff that I've shown so far in the video here today in the recording, but really tasty guitar in it. But the best part of it, which Luke Haynes might not like me, he might not like me saying this because of anyone who's read his Bad Vibes book. But I'm just, I have to be honest here about what lights me up about the music is there is this brilliant cello part throughout, this very urgent, very insistent cello line. Almost sounds a bit sort of Bernard Herrmann esque cello, like quite inspired. It almost has a bit of a psycho kind of a sort of a rhythm to it, and it just kind of creates a bit of dread in the song, which I really like. It's almost quite sort of panicky and a bit rushed. Not the playing, but just the kind of the feel of the song. It's got this real sort of sense of like impending doom to it with that cello part, which I just think is brilliant. So that kind of underpins the song, and then you've got the bass and the drums working away, and then some really nice guitar by Luke Haynes as well. And he sings in almost this kind of hushed, quite a sneery tone as well, which works really well for the track. So it's actually quite dark in a lot of ways. But I've always just been fascinated by the actual subject matter of it. And he does explain that plot in more detail within the book Bad Vibes as well. So if anybody's interested in picking up that book, I would certainly recommend it. But please do give the song Lenny Valentino a listen as well, because it's definitely worth anybody's time. 2 minutes of your time, and it might be a song, as it did for me, that just set me off on a path that just had me wanting as much auteurs in my life as I could possibly get. So yeah, great band they were, the auteurs. And Luke Haynes is still creating great work now. Most recently, at time of recording, he's hooked up with Peter Buck from REM and doing some stuff with him. But he's done all kinds. Luke Haynes, just a great talent. So very lucky to have him, and that is a great album as well. Okay, so moving on then to the next group here, who I think may or may not have been an influence on the auteurs. Actually, I'm trying to remember if there's any reference to this group in his book Bad Vibes. I'm trying to remember, maybe not. But these are a great band. These are out of Cleveland, Ohio. This came out in 1978. Another vocalist who I absolutely love. Certainly not Freddie Mercury or an Ian Gillan. He actually sounds to me sometimes, and I mean this in the greatest possible way, I mean it as a wonderful compliment. He sounds like he's swallowing an egg. Would be would be the way that I would describe his voice, and it is utterly fascinating. And the way that he pens lyrics and the way that he then delivers them just makes this band and this album in particular very unique. This is a debut album as well, so to have this opening track as your sort of, should we say, your opening gambit is really quite something and quite special. So the song we've got coming up next is Non-Alignment Pact. The band is Perubu, and the album is The Modern Dance. So if you're looking for some really experimental post-punk, if you're looking for something a bit dark, a bit different, and you may be not aware of Perubu, maybe you've just heard the name and you need to check them out, or you've been planning on checking them out, then please do give The Modern Dance, the album, a listen in its entirety. I do think it's an essential post-punk album, but please do listen to Non-Alignment Pact. It is an absolutely brilliant song. So good. Yeah, mine's on Mercury. or what to say about it. So yeah, at the beginning, it's quite it's quite discombobulating, I would say, at the start. You've got this really piercing, shrieky kind of like noise in the background. I don't know if it's I don't know what on earth it is, like some really quite horrid, like a whistling tone, which is really quite harsh on the ears. Doesn't last very long, but it is there at the beginning, and then the song just explodes into this really tuneful, brilliantly executed post-punk song. The bass work on it I absolutely love. I love the sound of it. It sounds like it's like they're playing in your room, like when you hear it. It's a very intimate recording. David Thomas is that singer that I was referring to with the voice. I'm not even going to try to do an impression of it and embarrass myself, although I'm really tempted to do so because I'm in quite a like a jovial mood today. But I'm not going to do an impression of David Thomas. But please do check his voice out because it really is a one-off and it is a really great voice. And the lyrics of Non-Alignment Pact are great as well. Very clever. The whole premise of it. About getting together with other people, sort of thing. It's just really clever how that's been done. And yeah, it's just a really infectious tune. It's quite bouncy. It's got real energy to it. There's a focus to it, but again, it just sort of hits you from left and right with quite unusual sounds and things that you wouldn't maybe quite expect. But yeah, that voice, it's an interesting one. So if anyone's tuning in to me who hasn't heard Per Ruby before, let me know what you make of David Thomas. It could be one of those voices people are just like, no, it's not for me. Then other people, like I did, just totally fall for it. I mean, I love his voice, so and it's his lyrics as well that have me coming back to his work. So this is a really great album, this one, The Modern Dance. As I mentioned, it's a debut. So yeah, please do give Non-Alignment Pact a listen. Listen out for that bass work on it. So good. Um, so yeah, if you're really into your moody sort of post-punk stuff, and yeah, you still maybe wondering what these are all about. These guys, assuming you don't already know them. I know there's people who tune into me that love Per Ubu, but yeah, please do give them a listen. They are an intriguing band. Really are. Probably the most intriguing group maybe arguably of the lot I've shown here today. Okay, so let's move on to the next one then. So this is an album here that takes me all the way back to childhood, really. Pretty much. I mean, I would have been about, let me think, maybe about 9 when this came out, which makes me feel very old. And yeah, I can't believe I would only been about 9 when it came out. I remember it coming out. My eldest, not the eldest sister, but the I've got 2 older sisters, but the one in the middle, Kelly, she's a huge fan of this group, huge fan of this song. No doubt it would have been her that would have been playing it an awful lot in the house when we were growing up. So that probably would have been my first exposure to it. And then no doubt then, got to see it on TV and hearing it all over the place. But yeah, I do remember my sister certainly being a big part of where I would have heard this song at the time it came out for the first time. And it was a song then that was pretty much everywhere and has kind of remained everywhere to varying degrees since it was released. Definitely something of a grunge anthem. It is iconic. It's world famous. It's one of the biggest songs that were associated with this group. So this is the other Butch Vig production job, by the way, that I was hinting about before with the Smashing Pumpkins. So 1991. So this came out before Cherub Rock. We've got Nevermind by Nirvana, with Butch Vig on production duties, and of course the song I'm talking about is Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was I believe a brand of deodorant. That's where Teen Spirit takes the name from. Kurt smells like Teen Spirit. I think it was some graffiti that he'd seen which had inspired the lyrics and the whole concept for the song. The song itself is lyrically, it's just full of contradictions. Let's just show this off first. There we've got a nice shot of the group there. Kurt Cobain, of course, Chris Novoselic, the bassist, and then Mr. Dave Grohl there on the drums. And then we've got that side there. And I have always wondered if that photograph there of the monkey, whether that was a bit of a Pixies tribute. I don't actually know that with any certainty. I've just literally put it out there on camera. But that always makes me think of Doolittle by Pixies, which has obviously got the monkey theme going on in the artwork on their album, which came out a couple of years before this one. And speaking of Pixies, I mean, I may be totally off with that. I don't know, but show you the inner there again. I do believe that when describing Smells Like Teen Spirit, Kurt Cobain did admit that it was the band ripping off the Pixies with the whole quiet, loud, quiet dynamic going on within the song. So yeah, the lyrics are mentioned, they're quite contradictory, sort of almost quite surreal stream of consciousness, arguably. Um, but also there is like a feeling of like a bit of anger and a bit of a stirring going on, maybe culturally. I do think it kind of became a bit of an anthem for the counterculture and the grunge movement, that sort of thing. But a huge critical commercial success for the band as well, which I think kind of brought its own mixture of emotions. I think certainly for Kurt Cobain as the songwriter. So yeah, I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's one of those songs that just I never ever tire of hearing it. I know a lot of people actually that could probably quite happily continue to live the rest of their lives and never hear it again. But then I know people, and I'm certainly one of them, who's always up for hearing it. I do love listening to it. I do enjoy it immensely. It takes me right back to being younger. I love the composition. Do love the very simple guitar bits during the quiet verses, and then it builds up for that very memorable chorus. When the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us, and the way that music is just blasted away in the background. So yeah, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. That had to be in 100, and there it is, moving its way up there towards that elusive. Well, kind of fell short of the top 40, but it was up in the higher part of the 50s. Okay. So moving on then. How many have we got still? Yeah, I've got three here left. So this one here now is arguably the greatest punk album that was released, arguably, from 1977. Another album that's a total one-off. Another album that made a huge statement, certainly politically, certainly within the landscape of this nation when it came out. Caused a lot of unrest. Controversy followed it wherever it was talked about or discussed or played or heard. But it's a wonderful album, and it's got an amazing lead off, opening track to it. So the album is Nevermind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. The band, of course, are the Sex Pistols, and the opening track is Holidays in the Sun. So yeah, you can see there with that cut and paste job with the tracks that you're not getting them in any semblance of order there. But Holidays in the Sun is the opening track with those boots marching at the very start. It's my Virgin label there of it. There's no the bits to show in my copy of that. So yeah, never mind the bollocks. So yeah, you've got those boots marching to kick it off. Then you get this guitar riff that's very similar actually to In the City by the Jam, which I think came out like the year before or something like that. Very similar actually to In the City. It kind of only occurred to me more in more recent years playing Holidays in the Sun, just how similar to In the City it is. Not as fast, not as phonetically played as the original Jam song, but a kind of a slowed down version. But the chords are very similar. Great guitar work throughout the track by Steve Jones. And yeah, lyrically, it's got references to the Berlin Wall and to Belsen, and I think the kind of the origin of the story was that they'd had some kind of holiday to Jersey, the band, and I think it went wrong or something happened, and then they ended up going off to Berlin instead. So I think there's a lot of this track is like a commentary on their experiences of going somewhere new and different, but also it's like a commentary on that division, the Berlin Wall once represented. It was a physical barrier, it was a cultural barrier. It was this city that was literally divided between political ideology as well. There was so many different strands that whole that whole construction stood for and what it represented, and the things in which it was trying to curtail to some degree as well. So there is obviously, as you'd expect, the Sex Pistols and a song like Holidays in the Sun, there is a political slant to the lyrics. Johnny Rotten, as he was known then, he is John Lydon now, but he was very much Johnny Rotten at this point in his career. His singing throughout is very sort of sneery, snarly, a bit sort of I don't want to say whiny because that makes it sound like there's a weakness to the vocal, and there definitely is no weakness whatsoever. It's a very powerful vocal, maybe a bit maybe nasal would be the word to use, but again, it's just such a powerful performance by Johnny Rotten, and again, just using his vocal intonations to really make certain words pop out at you when you're listening. There's just so many great examples of singers who do that in this batch that I'm showing. The next song in particular coming up, she does it wonderfully, but Johnny Rotten does it brilliantly here. And then he's just got that brilliant backing band there of Cut Matlock and Jones as well. So they were just such a great group, the Sex Pistols, and Holidays in the Sun is just a really strong opening song to a seminal punk album, and the album as a whole continues to follow in that vein. So yeah, if you're gonna lay down a marker, then you want to make it strong, you want to make it in your face, and Holidays in the Sun certainly does do that. And I do love the refrain throughout the track of Reason as well, with the reason in the background. That was a terrible version of it, kind of underpinning all the sort of the whinier, nasally side of Rotten's voice. You've got this sort of very deep and brusque reason, like kind of chanting away in the background, which works really well as well. So it's a nice counterpoint to the lead melody or vocal line. You've got the background vocals on it as well, which are really strong. So that's Holidays in the Sun by the Sex Pistols. Gosh, I'm getting a little bit warm here. Apologies for that today. Yes, gosh, getting a bit warm here in the Vinyl Sanctuary while I've been talking away, getting a little bit a little bit red faced here. So yeah, we've only got two more to go now, and then I can chill out and take a breather. I'll just give these glasses a quick wipe actually, and then we can carry on. So, and again, as I mentioned before, I just hope that you've enjoyed what I've shown today, and that my passion for these songs and for the series itself is shining through. It has been a lot of fun to do it, and I'm already looking forward to recording part 7, which will be 40 to 31, but we're not quite there yet, are we? We've still got 2 more to do, so let's not get ahead of myself. Right then, so this next song then, an absolute corker, brilliant, love it so much. Did think about putting it a little bit higher. I mean, that could be argued. I could have done that with all of these songs that I've shown today in the series, but this one, it really did keep fluctuating, I have to say. At one point it was a lot higher, then it went lower, and then it kind of ended up in the middle, pretty much, or just above the middle anyway, because we're at 42 now, aren't we? Yes, number 42. Okay, so this one is, it was a song, it was originally a song by a band called Them, obviously led by the great Van Morrison. This then was covered. This is a cover version of one of their songs, and the lady in question here, the punk priestess poet, I'm sure everyone will know who I'm talking about now if they're a fan. She took the original song by Them and had this poem that she'd written called Oath, where she put elements of that poem into the song. And let's just say that the overall, or the outcome was glorious. Let's just go with that. So the song is Gloria. The artist is, of course, Patti Smith, and the album is Horses, released in 1975, produced by John Cale. And yeah, Gloria, what a song. Gloria in excelsis Deo, to give it its full title, which is Latin for, glory to God in the highest. So yeah, I mean, there is not really many words I can sort of say to express just how much I love this song. I love the original by Them, which is much more garage rock. It's a lot shorter as well. It's with the whole Gloria, Gloria, the refrain is so catchy. That is retained by Patti Smith, and the version that she's laid down here with her band. So we've got Richard Soul there on piano, Lenny Kaye, of course, on lead guitar, the brilliant Lenny Kaye, Ivan Kral there on guitar and bass, and then JD Doherty there on the drums as well. And there's Patty there on the front. Amazing photograph there by Robert Mapplethorpe. And yeah, let me just think what to say about it. So it's a great story. It's a bit of an epic, as you'd expect with Patty. You know, she is a poet, so it's very wordy. There's a lot to process with it, but the execution of it is stunning. It's again with John Cale, similar to the production I was talking about earlier with Perubu. Although John Cale didn't produce that album, that would have been interesting if he had. It's just got an intimacy to it. So when you're listening to the song, it does feel like or sound like, you know, she's in the room with you, which just lends it that extra level of, I suppose, impact and power and potency. But the words are just magnificent, and she does mix up her voice throughout. As I mentioned earlier, with the likes of Freddie on Brighton Rock, and you know, Prince earlier with Let's Go Crazy. Patty uses her voice with all these very subtle vocal inflections, which kind of, when you're first listening, they do sort of take you aback a little bit, but not in a negative way, just more in a surprising way. Just the way she articulates certain words in places, but her doing that makes the song so memorable, and it really just makes it live long in the memory, in a way that anyone would want a song to live. I think just sometimes the way you use your voice can be as powerful or as effective as, you know, a carefully constructed guitar solo or whatever. So her voice on it is brilliant throughout. As I mentioned, the whole Gloria, Gloria refrain is retained, but the lyrics from the original version have been expanded upon with Patty's poetry. So it is just a wonderful song. One of my favourites of the 1970s. It's just a brilliant way to kick off this album, which was her debut as well from '75. You know, this is a pinnacle landmark record, and I would strongly urge and recommend anybody to listen to it in its entirety. But please do give Gloria a listen, because it is just quite a stunning song, and it's got a very controversial sort of opening line to it as well, in relation to Jesus. So yeah, for anybody, you know, just as a point of reference, if you are preparing to listen to that, then just do be prepared for that opening line as well, the spoken bit, and then it gets into the song. So there we go. We have got there Gloria by the mighty Patti Smith. Brilliant artist. I'm very happy to say I did get the opportunity to see her once live as well, and she was utterly amazing. Okay, so we're up to our last song of the part then, of the day, so to speak. So yeah, we've had a lot of rockers there, and Gloria is another one that rocks along very well indeed. I did mention at the very start of the video, this one is not a rocker. It's a beautiful slice of synth pop, very beautifully orchestrated as well, by a wonderful duo from the 1980s. This came out in 1983. It's my favourite song by this group. I've never heard anything, for me personally, that I think has bettered it, and it's a wonderful opening track to a really great album. So the band is Eurythmics, the album is Touch, and the beautiful song opening the album is Here Comes the Rain Again, which gets the number 41 spot in my top 100. Here Comes the Rain Again. And there's the amazing Annie Lennox there on the front cover. Great photograph that. Very striking, very memorable. She's still sporting the shock of her cropped dyed red hair there. Yeah, great photograph, that one. So I think from memory, yeah, when I played it the other day, yeah, it's got the original inner sleeve, and it's got the merchandise. There you go, Eurythmics product leaflet in there as well. You can order t-shirts and stuff off there, which is cool. And then we've got two brilliant portraits here of, actually no, just the one portrait on this one. Got the portrait of Annie, of course, on the front cover. Then we've got that cracking portrait there of Dave Stewart, the musical alchemist there, on the inner sleeve. And you can see the references there to the orchestral nature of Here Comes the Rain Again there, with the string instruments. You can see it all there littered around on that collage there of photographs there, you can see. So yeah, Here Comes the Rain Again. It's just a stunning, stunning song. Not much more to say about it really. I love the use of the programming on it by Dave Stewart. The string line on it, the melody lines on it are absolutely gorgeous. There's this gorgeous little bit as well that he does towards, I think it's the end of the first chorus. He does like this little harmonic on the guitar that just sounds brilliant. And there's like a bit of a pause in the proceedings, just to you hear this harmonic note ring out like a dong, and it's like a bell. It's just beautiful, really clever little touch that from a musical point of view. Very very memorable. There's like a very sort of gently strummed guitar throughout, like just single strums throughout. Electric, but just very very tastefully and subtly done. So the programming and the strings are really the thing that are giving the song its life and its vitality. And then you've just got this incredible vocal throughout by Annie Lennox, which goes as standard. I mean, Annie Lennox is for me one of the all-time great singers, like just a phenomenon, absolutely amazing singer. Truly one of the greats that Britain have ever produced. Just a wonderful, wonderful talent. And with Dave Stewart alongside, with his musical mastery, I really do think that they created some of the most beguiling and wonderful music of the 1980s and of that period. And that music has gone on to be enjoyed for many decades after as well. So yeah, a very special group, the Eurythmics, and Here Comes the Rain Again. Just never tire of hearing it. It's just a song that just continues to grow in beauty for me. The more and more I've heard it as I got older. I remember vividly seeing the video as well when I was very young, where she's walking along. Um, I can't remember where it's. I'm not sure where it's set, but she's walking along like the rocks, and she's barefooted in like this like nightgown with a holding like this lantern up, and she's wandering around. And just remember thinking like it was this really kind of doomy, quite an edgy video. And then you just get shots of Dave every now and again, being this very sort of mysterious figure in the background, as he often was in videos and stuff. So yeah, just got great memories as well of seeing that video when I was a lot younger. But yeah, Here Comes the Rain Again, beautiful song. If people aren't familiar with it, please do listen to it. And yeah, delighted for me to have delighted with myself, I should say. There you go, give myself a pat on the back. Delighted to have not only chosen it, but to put it at number 41, because it is a really special song to me, that one. And that concludes this part of these series. So that was number 50 to 41 covered off in my top 100 side one track ones of my favorite of studio albums in my collection at home here. So that's me all done and dusted. Got a little bit warm there towards the end, so thank you for bearing with me if I did end up waffling a little bit there towards the end more than normal. If you enjoyed what I did today, then please do put a like on the video. It really does mean a lot. It really does help the channel, and it helps the video to do well and to be seen on YouTube. So I am always super grateful to anybody who takes the time to put a thumbs up on my video, on my videos, I should say. And if you are new to the Vinyl Sanctuary and you do wish to join me in taking refuge in records, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do that, I'd be very grateful. Just please remember to click the notification bell so that you will receive updates of all videos I've got landing in the future. In the meantime, I will be continuing to focus purely on this series. I've now got parts 7, 8, 9 and 10 still to record. I do have some other ideas brewing away in the background, which I will get to at a later point, but my focus for now at the point of recording is to continue working through the other parts of my series. I don't want to be deviating from that right now. I'm just going to continue to work through the 100 and see what other amazing picks people have got who are tuning in to me. So with that in mind, please do comment. Please do get involved on this video and other videos that I've posted in the series. Let me know what your top 100 are. If you wish to play along, that would be wonderful. If you just want to submit your top 5 or your top 10, whatever works for you. There's no pressure whatsoever. But please do, let me know if you've enjoyed what I've done and what your thoughts are on my picks. So until the next time, thank you very, very much, everybody. Really appreciate it. Take care and bye for now.